Shana Tova to everyone. My prayer is, as we continue our High Holy Days, that we will all have a year filled with good health, happiness, prosperity, the many blessings I believe we all so richly deserve. May we all experience the love of our family and our friends, the opportunity one day again to meet new people, but to continue to learn, to grow, to enjoy life and take advantage of every moment of this new year. Every moment that God gives us to spend in this world, and most importantly, that we remember to thank God for the many blessings we have in our lives. Important civic and Jewish leaders, presidents, prime ministers, cabinet members, international and national Jewish leaders, prominent rabbis even, leaders of international sports federations, on and on and on, have been charged with breaking the law. Corporate leaders here in America who convinced investors to invest millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, on their company or their new idea or their product, right, have lied, deceived, and misled those who put their trust and their money into those companies. At every level of secular and Jewish society, there are those who should be worried about what their place in heaven is. And as we, the people of Israel, stand before God on this Yom Kippur, asking God to re-enroll us in the book of life, we hope that we have not been guilty of some of the outrageous crimes of those entrusted with the public trust. Some of us will stand in synagogue on this Yom Kippur with trepidation because we know we have not followed what our parents and grandparents, our teachers and our friends have taught us, or what God asks of each and every one of us. Will our fellow human beings forgive us? Will God forgive us? With so many acts of corruption and stealing and breach of trust at every level of society, with people of every ethnic group and religion breaking codes of human conduct, tonight as we sit in our sanctuary and as we contemplate what by most every indicator was a difficult year for all of us, for our families, for our people, for our country, for our world, I would like to focus tonight as we think about right and wrong, as we think about personal growth and change, as we think for ourselves as how we can be a better person, I would like to focus this evening what I think is the only antidote for what we are experiencing in our world today. And I believe our mandate for this year, 5781, is that the best thing that we can do is to be a mensch. Tonight, as we contemplate our wholeness and our holiness, as we think about how we can be a little bit better in the year ahead, I would like to share with you the strategies and stories and examples of those who have devoted their time to thinking about what it means to be a mensch, and who by their example, what in Hebrew we call a dugma, have taught us a lesson on what it means to be a mensch. Rabbi Joseph Telushkin opened one of his many books with these words: if you ask people most what they want from others, they will usually answer that they want good character. The knowledge that those with whom we interact are kind and honorable is the surest guarantee that we and our loved ones will be treated well. But if you ask most people what they want for themselves, what do we say to ourselves? We want to be happy and we want to be successful. In short, the reason we want good character from others and happiness and success for ourselves is that in both cases, we want what is best for us. But what Rabbi Telushkin reminds us is, what people don't generally realize is that achieving the good things in life, such as happiness, success, having loving and meaningful relationships, depends on our developing within ourselves what we most want from others, and that is good character. Our success in life depends on our ability to develop good character traits. Many of you have heard of the marshmallow test, right? There was a study of 4-year-olds done at Stanford University. Children at the university's preschool were brought into a room, one at a time. A marshmallow was placed on the table, and they were told, you can have this marshmallow now, but if you don't eat it now, when I come back in the room, you can have 2 marshmallows. The study revealed, and it was a study done over at least 14 years, that as the participants were graduating high school, the children who had eaten the marshmallow right away were less able to resist temptation or to achieve their goals and were more likely to fall apart under the stress of everything than those who waited and ate 2 marshmallows. And on the SATs, the students who waited for the second marshmallow scored higher than those who ate the marshmallow right away. Good character requires the gift of being able to cultivate gratitude, the tenacity to be persistent and patient, the ability to exhibit self-control and discipline in our lives, and the vision to develop courage and self-confidence in ourselves. When Rosa Parks was interviewed many years ago, she said, "I had no idea when I refused my seat on the Montgomery bus that my small action would help put an end to desegregation in the South. I only knew that I was tired of being pushed around. I was a regular person, and I was as good as anyone else." Rosa Parks' confidence in herself, an ability to stand up for herself, not only transformed America for the better, but it also confirmed for her that she was a person of value, as good as anyone else. Having good character in the sense of doing the right thing turns out to be one of the greatest values that we can have in life. In his book called The 10 Commandments of Character, Rabbi Telushkin lists the 10 prerequisites for being a person of good character. Here's the list. Know your weaknesses. When ethics and other values conflict, choose ethics. Treat all people with kindness and understanding, that they, like you, are created in the image of God. Be fair, be courageous, be honest, be grateful, practice self-control, exercise common sense, admit when you have done wrong, seek forgiveness, and don't rationalize bad behavior. That's your list. When Rabbi Telushkin calls good character, we might call in Hebrew derech eretz. Derech is a way. Derech eretz is like the way of the world, the way of the land. And another way of saying it simply is, be a mensch. What is a mensch? Mensch is a Yiddish word that connotes a person who is admired, respected, and trusted because of a sense of ethics, fairness, and nobility. Now I realize that if I wanted to write a best-selling book today, you might want me to entitle the book, How to Lose Weight While Eating Ice Cream, or How to Look Younger Each Day of Your Life, or I don't know if this is one of the books about President Trump, How to Be a Genius Without Ever Opening a Book. We might not be able to produce a bestseller by writing a book on being a mensch, but that is exactly what we need to do today. For today, we are being written in the Sefer HaChaim, the Book of Life. And in a sense, our tradition believes that on each Rosh Hashanah, we are each starting a new chapter in our Book of Life, so that we contemplate what the next chapter will include as we think about how we will fill the blank pages with examples of our good deeds, our values, our acts of kindness and caring. What better subject for us to think about than on being a mensch? In fact, a renowned psychologist, Dr. Jerome Bruner, when speaking at a conference for child care professionals, cautioned all parents with these words. I think parents should forget the genius bit. What you want is a human being, a mensch, not a genius. A key ingredient to being a mensch can be found in the prayer book on one of the first pages of any Siddur or Machzor. Le'olam yehei adam yarei shamayim beseter uvagalui. We should always revere God in public as in private. Le'olam yehei adam really means be a mensch, by showing real character, not only in public but in private, by making your word your bond and your life a sacred trust, by always being honest with yourself and by giving expression to the best within you. When God commanded the people of Israel to build a portable sanctuary in the desert to serve as a symbol of God's presence, the Torah says very clearly in the book of Exodus that the ark was to be covered with gold, not only on the outside, but on the inside. Now, those of you who might be in manufacturing or making a product, we've all bought furniture. We know it looks nicer on the outside often than on the inside. The inside's just often plain wood, but the outside has all kinds of colors and velours and finishes on it, right? The Torah says that the inside of the ark should have the same gold that's on the outside of the ark. Why fill the ark with gold? You know it's going to cost a lot more money. The message of the Torah and the Talmud is that the ideal person must be the same on the inside as on the outside. We need to be real and authentic. I think we all know people in our lives who are not that way. They are one way in public and another way in private. And the Torah is teaching us very, very severely here that to be a good person with good character, we have to be the same on the inside as well as the outside. Another key ingredient is consistency, that you know that a person is a mensch if he remains a mensch in all circumstances and can be relied upon to do the right thing no matter what. I almost recited tonight a prayer that is in this other machzor I have on the bima, the Machzor Chadash, which was published about 50 years ago, and in it, it has a prayer recited in Germany on Kol Nidre in 1935, and I often like to recite it for the sake of shortening up the service. I did not include it. But I do want to tell you about the rabbi who wrote it, Rabbi Leo Beck. There was a rabbinical school in London with his name, and there was a Reform Day school in Haifa with his name. Rabbi Leo Beck was a distinguished rabbi in Berlin before the Holocaust. In 1938 and 1939, when he was almost 70 years old, he was offered the pulpit of the largest synagogue in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Jerusalem of the Reform movement. But he knew what was about to happen in Germany, and he did not want to leave his congregation and community. He could have gotten out. He stayed behind to minister to his congregation. He traveled tirelessly to London to attempt to save some of his children in his community by having them sent to Great Britain. You all know some of the stories about the children who were taken by train from Germany and from Czechoslovakia and other countries to Britain. Ultimately, he was arrested and was sent to Theresienstadt. There by day, he had to drag a garbage cart through the streets during the day. But at night, he gave illegal lectures on Jewish philosophy and history and Jewish literature. He even wrote what became a significant book on scraps of paper when he could steal a few minutes. He wrote on one of the scraps of paper, "A mensch remains a mensch even in Theresienstadt." Many years ago, there was a very brilliant man named Robert Kirsch. He was the book critic of the Los Angeles Times. He died at a very young age. He summed up his values in life with these words: live, read, grow, and be a mensch. Let me add some explanation to those words. Live. Try to live each day fully. Enjoy it as a gift and give thanks for your many blessings. Read. When we read about the biographies of others and the history of different parts of our world, we gain insights and share the lives of the greatest minds that have ever lived. When we read fiction, we explore the lives of people who may not have existed in reality, but through the story, we can learn from these fictional characters the values and the morals of life. And when we read books on business, leadership, and the plethora of self-help books, we learn new ideas and new skills and learn about the endeavor to be human and to be holy. And grow. Never stop growing as a person. Never become satisfied with who you are. Let your mind keep growing and stretching with new ideas and new insights. Let your heart keep growing with greater understanding and sensitivity toward others. We need to allow our souls to be open to our loved ones and to God to give strength and add meaning to our lives. and be a mensch. Try to be the kind of person who will be respected and loved, not because of our power and fame or fortune, but because we personify the qualities of menschlichkeit, being fair and generous and compassionate under all circumstances. Robert Kirsch's words evoke the goals and values we need for our own lives. And then there is one of the founders of Hasidism, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. He suggested a formula that tells us how to live life. There are 3 requisites to be a good person, Rabbi Nachman wrote. A person must have seeing eyes, hearing ears, and an understanding heart. Seeing eyes, hearing ears, and an understanding heart. Seeing eyes, let your eyes see your conduct. We are often blind to our own failings. We do not appreciate our blessings, and we fail to be sensitive to the needs of those around us. Hearing ears, we need to be able to accept constructive criticism. We need to realize our often unintentional indifference. Rabbi Nachman is urging us, listen to the cries of despair that call to you. We need to listen to those in our society who are in despair and respond to their cries. In our families, our parents and our children may need us. May we respond to their call. An understanding heart. Rabbi Nachman taught, let your heart understand its eternal purpose. Our eternal purpose is found in the words of Aleinu that we recite a little later in the service, L'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to perfect, to repair, to rebuild the world under God's kingship. The goal of the enterprise we call the American experience is to create a society where every person has a chance to learn and succeed. Our task is to help bring peace and democracy and human rights to our world, but with realistic aims and goals. Our responsibility is to create a society where people do not die because of the heat or because we did not recognize signs of abuse or respond to cries for help. Seeing eyes, hearing ears, and an understanding heart are essential to be a mensch. A blogger once had this to say about being a mensch. Help people who cannot help you. Help without the expectation of a return of the favor. Help many people. Do the right thing the right way. From Rabbi Telushkin, we have learned about the importance of character. From the Marshmallow Study, we have learned the importance of controlling our urges and our temptations and having patience. From Rosa Parks, we have learned that to be a mensch means to be able to stand up for your beliefs. And from Rabbi Leo Beck, we learned that to be a mensch, it's possible even in the midst of the greatest adversity. From critic Robert Kirsch, we learned that to be a mensch means to live, to read, to grow. And from Rabbi Nachman, we learned that to be a mensch is to have seeing eyes, hearing ears, and an understanding heart. So often in life, we read stories about people who just happen to be in the right place at the right time, or are fortunate enough to be on a reality show, and then they become celebrities for no other reason that they have achieved recognition about popularity and celebrity. I encourage you to read the story in today's New York Times, Who's Famous in America Now? And it goes through a whole list of American celebrities and who's in and who's out based on the pandemic, and it's very interesting. But there are people who live life quietly. Some of you may remember a guy named Christian Lopez. I think it was 9 years ago. Derek Jeter, by the way, there's all kinds of children. There was a story the other night on one of the baseball games about all the children who are now like 13 years old who are named Jeter, right? Because everyone loves Derek Jeter. Christian Lopez caught the 3,000th hit of Derek Jeter. He could have kept the ball. He could have asked for a lot of money for the ball. But his response and his words place him in the category of a mensch. He said when he gave the ball back, "It's Derek's ball. I do not want anything for it. He deserves it. That's enough for me." How refreshing. Our prophet Micha in the Bible wrote words in one of the Haftarot we read during the summer. Micha wrote, God has told you, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, only to do justice, to love goodness, and to walk humbly with your God. Christian Lopez walks humbly with his God. People who give charity anonymously walk humbly with their God. The sports story of Christian Lopez was a refreshing story because in a world where most people want something in return for something that they do, he just wanted Derek Jeter to have his ball that made history. And the final thing I want to say to you about being a mensch is that part of being a mensch is giving tzedakah, our ability to help others. Did you ever notice that we don't have a bracha for giving tzedakah? Right? We have a bracha for almost everything. There's no bracha for the act of giving tzedakah. Why? I think there are two answers in our tradition. One is that tzedakah is a blessing. It's wonderful that we have the opportunity to do it, and we should just do it. And the second, more formal answer is that tzedakah is a mitzvah. At least regard with the poor. The act of tzedakah, you must do it. You must not hesitate or deliberate or procrastinate. It is a mitzvah to do it right away. Just do it. There is a beautiful story in our tradition about a rabbi named Rav Chitz. His wife said to him, you know, it took you an awful long time to say your prayers today. Have you succeeded because you prayed so long in bringing it about that the rich should be more generous with their gifts to the poor? And the rabbi replied sheepishly, half of my prayers have been answered today. The poor are willing to accept the gifts of the rich. A man went to his cardiologist because he feared problems with his heart. And what happens when you go to a doctor, any doctor, almost for any reason? What's the first thing they do? Take your temperature and they take your blood pressure, right? And the man kind of argued. He goes, why are you checking my arm? Asked the patient. It's my heart that I'm concerned with. The doctor, overhearing the question, replied, I know, but from your hand and from your pulse, I can tell how your heart is. The soundness of our Jewish hearts is determined by the checks that we write or now transmit electronically with our hands. When the pulse of tzedakah does not beat strongly in the life of the Jew, it indicates a weakening of that Jew's total Jewish commitment. We live in a world where we could meet almost every need in our world, I believe, if everyone gave what they could to charity. I know that most people, neither Jews nor Christians, nor people reflecting the entire diversity of our country, give what they could. And recent studies have shown that as the richest 1% get richer, their charity, their tzedakah, does not keep up with their wealth. So to be a Jew means to give tzedakah to our beloved congregation, to our Jewish community, to Israel, to Jews in need around the world, and to support the many needs that our world is facing. And there are so many that I leave it to you to pick your own. And the one final thought that I want to share with you about being a mensch is from Arnold Eisen, the now retired chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary. He wrote a wonderful book. I have it here on the bima with me. It's not a big, thick book. It's a small little book called Taking Hold of Torah. And Arnie Eisen, who was at Stanford when he wrote this book, he was at Stanford for 20 years or so before he became the chancellor of JTS, took the 5 books of Moses and writes about the importance of Torah and what it means to be educated and to teach our children with ideas from each of the 5 books of Moses. And here's what he has to say in this section on Devarim, Deuteronomy, which we are now completing in these weeks. He goes, my children constantly ask me why I've done things I didn't even realize I was doing. They noticed even if I did not. I am astonished to hear them repeating verbatim entire sentences I have uttered days before, including words I would have rather them not know. Whenever I don't give money to a homeless person on the street, they demand an explanation. Every action or omission conveys some message that our children receive, and that is all the more true of minute interactions with them, multiplied by tens of thousands every year. And this is his conclusion of this section. We either teach Torah or something else at any moment. We either teach Torah or something else. And if we do not teach enough Torah, the opposite of Torah will prevail in the world. I think it's a beautiful thought. We are either teaching our children and our grandchildren and ourselves Torah, or we're filling our minds with stories about celebrities and, how the Kardashians are doing. Our children and our grandchildren will be mentioned if we teach them our Torah and our customs, our holidays and our values, our essential teachings and our timeless traditions. And so on this Yom Kippur, as we prepare to ask God for forgiveness, I encourage all of us to try to be a mensch. General George Marshall challenged us. The measure of life, after all, is not its duration, but its devotion. On this Yom Kippur, may we be a symbol to all who know us and love us. May we open our minds and our hearts, our souls. May we live and read and grow. May we strengthen our values, and may we have seeing eyes, hearing ears, and caring hearts. May our hearts understand our eternal purpose in this world and on this earth. Be a mensch. May we be kind and caring. May we be trustworthy and honest. May we be fair and courageous. May we be grateful every day. And may we be, as the Jewish philosopher Martin Buber described, may we be humanly holy. May we be and have a vision for creating, rebuilding, and having a renewal for ourselves, our people, and our world. Let's be a symbol. Let's be good Jews. Let's be good human beings. Let's be humanly holy. Tonight, let's declare our desire to end corruption and selfishness and self-centeredness and seeking fame. And let's declare our allegiance to all of the best of what it means to be a Jew, to be real and authentic, inside and outside, and to be a mensch. Maybe, just maybe, if we are able to do that, we will help save our world. Shana Tova to everyone.